Planetary, issue number 22. I'm William Leather. John Leather was my grandfather. A Texas Ranger, like his older brother Paul. Until the day he and his brother were attacked by the Dowling gang. They'd started out as ordinary bank robbers, but had gone into the extortion and torture business. It was an open secret that the Leathers had been left a silver mine by their father. The Dowlings wanted the location of the mine. Paul Leather died under torture. John crawled away when the Dowlings got into a fight over who'd let Paul die. John was half alive and lost in the Texas wilds in the middle of the night. The story says that he wouldn't have made it to the morning if he hadn't been found by an Indian. No one ever knew his name. He was a medicine man, a rogue shaman who drifted away from the Potawatomi tribe. No one trusted the Potawatomi. They sided with the French against their own, and they sided with the British during the Revolution and during the 1812 War. By 1841, most of them had been locked up in reservations north of the Mississippi, but come 1852, a small group of them had come to Texas and settled along the Sabine and the Trinity. This guy, a renegade among renegades out in the middle of nowhere, listening to thunder and knowing from his religion that it was the sound of the spirits playing vast celestial games and stamping their feet. This guy decided to test John Leather to see if he was worth saving. He dosed him with Indian drugs from his medicine pouch. The Potawatomi didn't use peyote back then, so God knows what he gave my poor old grandpappy there. Now we see what kind of ghost man you are. John Leather was never the same again. Whether it was the drug, the torture, the near-death experience, or just plain crazy revenge, no one ever knew. The Indian patched him up, and John made his way to the silver mine. He worked for a week and a day to cast new bullets out of mined silver, but he tipped the bullets with mercury out of the mine tailings. Mercury is a byproduct of silver mining, and it kills. If they wanted the silver, then they were going to get it. People said that the dead ranger always shot to wound, but that wounded bad man died of shame. Nobody ever worked out that the bullets were poisoned. Of course, he looked for the Dowling gang first. Wake the hell up, you stupid bastards! Please, I'm not armed. I don't care. Went on to clean up a fair part of Texas. Eventually, he met someone, wiped the ashes from his face, and started a new life. A hair past midnight on January 1st, 1900, his wife gave birth to a son called Brett. Brett was special. Everyone could see it. Texas was never going to be enough to hold him. Oh yes, he was special. Born on the turn of the century. You know all about that, don't you, Mr. Snow? Sole heir of the silver mine, he moved to Chicago. A philanthropic city boy millionaire. 20s and 30s Chicago. Bad years in a bad town. Everyone knows that. Brett Leather funded a progressive newspaper, but that was never going to be enough for the son of John Leather. He designed and cast new guns from his father's silver, but the bullets were black as hell. I was told he was a conflicted man. He believed there was natural law, and that was inborn within him. But his father was a Texas Ranger and taught Brett to respect and appreciate American law. He loved his father, but he also knew him for a hypocrite. Hypocrisy runs deep in my family. Brett Leather loved the law, but had to live outside it. I remember hearing about the night one of the local bosses sent his men to kill a judge and his family. 4 men, all with body counts in double figures. well-trained. One of them was a cop, a judge, his wife, 2 daughters. And Brett Leather. The hell? They look like goddamn spiders. See, he had to save the judge and his family, but had to commit murder to do it. He just couldn't stand to see that happen. This is the night I was born, out for truth and justice on the night his only son was being brought into the world. Miriam Langham, the society debutante who was first his assistant and then his wife, gave birth to me, but he wasn't there. And you know what the funny thing was? The really funny thing? I wasn't his. Strange world, huh? I found all this out after Dear Daddy died in the Adirondacks. Dear Daddy was out avenging the city's innocence every night, and eventually Mommy ended up in bed with one of Daddy's assistants. My father was actually a loan shark and failed suicide called Danny Vincenzo. Funny, he could tell whenever anyone was lying to him. Anyone except her. It wasn't until after the war that I realized what I'd been cheated out of. When I met Randall Dowling, strange world, he really was related to the Dowling my grandpappy stamped to death in the Texas woods. Dowling explained the way of the world to me. If I'd been Brett Leather's son, I would be superhuman. I would be able to do everything he'd been capable of, and I would very probably be functionally immortal. You know what he said to me? "We'll punish them all. The liars and the cheats and the people who'd steal your birthright. We will punish them all by becoming great." He had plans, you see. Oh, Randall Dowling always had plans. Him and me and Kim and Jakey, we all had our axes to grind. It took me more than 40 years to realize it wasn't about us becoming great, the 4 of us. Oh no, it was about him becoming great. Or he and Kim. And Jakey and me, we were the pack horses and foot soldiers. Jakey couldn't leave, not the way he was. He just took it. But me, I was supposed to be great. I'm a Leather. We're not born to be some bastard's lackey. I told him, I'm going to go find these things on my own, and I'm going to become greater than you. And now I'm here. Well, that's all very sad. You've had a very painful life. Now, here's the news. Jacob Green is on a one-way trip out of the solar system. No one knows you're here but me. Only my field team know you're even in custody. I have been counseled to remain calm and remember the differences between you and I, to remember what my role in the world is. But you know what I remember? You remember the Nautilus? You remember who I was with? Who you shot? I remember that. Now you're going to tell me where Susskind and Dowling are, whether you like it or not.